through and I can explain everything about Rails from scratch. So I create a folder. It can be anywhere really, your bootcamp folder and everything there, it's fine. Now you have something called gem, right? And gem is something that will just manages the libraries you have installed. Bundler install the gems you define in gem file. But gem is the program that can install something, right? Gem install. Bundler call gem install for you. We clear on that? So Ruby comes with gem, this gem thing. And now if you do gem list, it lists all the libraries you have installed on your computer. So I have a library called Rails. So when you're the first time you're doing it, you probably want to type gem install Rails. Now, after you have Rails, you have a library called Rails. It's just a gem, but it depends on many other gems, right? It will install this big gem I already installed, so it's fast. Now you can type Rails V, which is very important to type, to know what Rails version you're using. Libraries will change their version. If you go from 5. This is the latest version. Okay, and next month you will see 5.1.3. It means you can update and should be fine. But if you wait for a year, or this go to 5.3.0, this is called the minor version, and it may break a few things. It's probably okay, but let's say if you read tutorial for Rails 4 and you're using Rails 5, you may run into problem because the big version change is a lot of changes have happened. So it gives you the confidence you have when you, whether things can become, whether you should really check if it works for you or not. Okay. So with Rails, it provides one thing here. It's a command. You use the command line a lot. That's why I use the terminal app now, because I keep it separate from the text editor. Okay. So Rails new. This is a project name. So I call this practice 2, for example. This is the project name. For a lot of your app, this is your app name. So no spaces, please. Maybe a dash, it's okay, but normally just one word or underscore. So for example, you can call you can do to do like this. You can do to do like this. You can do to do like this. It's all okay. Just don't do to do or to do, yeah? All right. So after I do that, I have a new folder. And when you see into this folder, from now on, you have to learn how to use Git better. Rails come with a default Git setup for you. And it's the Git folder is already here for you. So it's as if Rails already ran Git init for you. Okay? Any question there?
There's even a git ignore.
And there's another file called git ignore. Means the files in this files, they will not be committed to Rails. So if there is a temp folder, a log folder in this directory, in this folder, it will not. You see this log folder? It will not go to the git commit. Now Rails only run the git thing for you. So if you run git status, my GS is git status, you see everything is still untracked and there are no git commit messages. If I type git log, it will say your current branch does not have any commits yet, right? Nothing yet. So the first thing you do is add all the files that you have done, have created. Git status again. These files are now ready to be committed, and let's write the first commit message. Git commit message -m. So you say first commit or new Rails app or anything you like. So after that, then you have one commit message. Agreed? Do you understand how to add the files? How do you add a file to add files to your Git app? All right. So how many commits have I got so far? it would be, I recommend you just focus on one thing at a time. So we have a Rails project, and these will be the files this will become your friends. Now it looks like a lot. There's app folder, it's config folder, DB folder. You will get used to them, right? Let's start doing something about. Any questions so far? There's nothing interesting. My question is, how do I run this server? In Sinatra, I just have an app.rb file. Now I have the whole app folder. In Ruby, in Sinatra, I run Ruby app.rb, right? Or shotgun. How do I run the Rails server? Rails server. So Rails provide you the executable file. Now, on some of your computer, Rails server may do something weird for you. You could check where Rails is, if it works or not. Another thing you could try is you type bin/Rails, and it tends to work very well. Rails create a folder called bin, and in bin it has that Rails. Inside this bin folder, there's a Rails script, so you can run that. It will run the exact Rails version for your project. Sometimes you may have multiple Rails versions on your computer, so this could be the safer way. For us, it's probably okay. You just type this. Okay? So sometimes you see the internet tell you to type this. It's normal. And in Rails, instead of typing server, if you type S, it will also understand. So that's Rails server. If I run this now, you'll see something very similar to your Sinatra situation. It uses a different server. It's called Puma. It's a better server than WebRick server. This is a newer. WebRick is very basic. It comes with Ruby. Sinatra is another library that Rails require, and it's a very advanced server. It can be done multi-process, multi-threaded. Obviously, you don't have to understand the multi-threaded stuff. And then now, if I go to this browser URL here, what is my port? What is my port? 3000. So from now on, no more 45678. No, 4567 or 9393. It's 3000. Okay. So we'd say, oh, it can run threads here, but you don't have to worry about it. Same deal. If you want to get out of the server, Control C. If you want to run the server again, press up and run it. Now notice that Rails now provide you a lot more log for you to see. Okay, so over time, be very comfortable reading it. For today, don't worry about it yet. You're like, I don't understand this. Okay, what? The page take 175 milliseconds to run. Okay. Anything else here? Don't worry about it. Oh, get slash. Okay, I recognize this. Right? So far, so good. So I go here. Now then you see this page. You can double check. Oh, okay, I'm running the right Rails version, right Ruby version. Yeah? Yeah?
Rails is like shotgun. You do not need to.
Huh?
Rails is like shotgun. You do not need to close
Sock?
Shotgun. You don't need to.
It's like shotgun. Yeah. So Rails is smarter. It can reload itself most of the time, depending on what files you change. Any file inside the app folder is fine, but files inside the config folder, you have to restart. Because the files in config folder, you run it before you start the application. All right, let's get to it. Now this page is the default Rails page. This page looks pretty, but it's not on your app. It's in the gem. So we have to define the first page for our app. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code to edit up my app, and I call code space period on all of your computers now. You can run from your Visual Studio Code terminal or this terminal. If you press this, your code editor will open. Okay? Now the terminal here is still useful for other purpose. So you can still keep this. And I also keep this terminal. I now keep this terminal for the Rails server. So I keep it running here. I only look at it later, okay? Now I'm going to use my Visual Studio Code, and this is my browser. Now in this File structure. The file that I want to take a look at is this routes file. And here is where you have something similar to Sinatra. Now you may feel like, okay, I have to remember this routes word. Don't worry, it will get, you'll see it again and again. So remember, in Sinatra you do this, yeah? And instead of this, in this file, you only have to do something like this, and you have to write your code somewhere else. This page, you will be able to go into this URL and you can start reading out documentation. It can give you more information. I am going to do something really simple first. First step, generate some content. Now it's still a bit confusing, but I'm generate something called a controller. A controller is something that prepares data for you. And the view is something that show you the data. Okay? So there's a model view controller architecture that after this demo I will explain. But for now, just remember I have something. I start from the controller. So I start from controller. The first word is the controller name. And the second word is an action name. And again, don't worry about the word. But I have to explain some of these steps because you repeat this in your lab. So it will be really easy to, you understand after you repeat it. Git status again will show me the files that just have been changed. And I have one file that was changed. Do you see that? I have one thing up here. Get say/hello. And then I have some extra files. Don't worry about the extra files yet. After I generate the first one here, can someone guess for me what URL I can go to? Localhost /say/hello. So this browse file tells Rails that there is something here. Okay? Now also Rails will automatically try to decide where you should edit your view file. This is called convention. And the convention here is say, hey, go into app/views and then go to this folder say and then this file hello. So I go into this directory, app, views, say, hello. And I can change stuff in here. Whoops. So let's change it to something else. Hello from Rails. And then here I can just display some data, right? For now, wow, right? And refresh, it works. And now you realize that, okay, I can add a lot more files this way. Maybe I can add another file here like world.html.erb, etc. So this is ERB. And you already learned ERB. How do I display the time? The current time. Does anyone know? I use ERB. Time.now. So if I build an application and I have time.now to be like this. And you can even go to the layout file, which is already created for you. Alright? Imagine I have a layout file. Remember the yield? Looks very familiar. I have a footer at the bottom. Let's say this footer has, let's say border 1 pixel solid gray. And then down here is like, copyright, like this, right? Time.now.year. I get the current year. And just close it. Now this is my layout file. And I refresh this, and I have the layout in all the files that I use. The layout file is by default. Rails create a nice structure of HTML stuff for you. Rails also create something under no longer a public folder, yeah, assets, but here it's assets. But this JavaScript and style sheet for you, so you can go in there and add some stuff. You can add that afterwards. So let's do something a little bit more interesting. I create another page and I go to that page. And that page is, let's say I go to Google. So this case is not a problem. By now you can do this, right? Search. So this is an absolute URL that goes somewhere else. You put the HTTP here, right? And it can go there. How do you go to another page on my website?
Just / directory.
So let me just do a URL here. And let's put this in a li. Alright. Let's add another one here. You say this slash something. So let's link. This is a href. Let's say slash goodbye. Alright, so maybe you say goodbye. Is that okay?
Well, I think we need the file extension.
For extension where?
Well, goodbye.html, and we don't have the file yet.
That's right. So we decide just like we want the behavior first. I think I have a link to the goodbye page. And you see that if I mouse over there, you guys see the thing at the bottom there? It will go to this page. Say goodbye. Right? If I click on it, what happens? We don't know yet. It's just a page that we don't know about. Alright. So you'll see this page a lot. And it's okay. If you see this page, don't feel like, oh my god, what do I look at? You know, it's going to be a problem. So I will implement it. Now the first slash is not really necessary. So for now, yes, you know, it will work the same way without, like this, right? For now, I keep this here. And I have to go and implement this page. Who here can guess, based on what we've done so far, where I go next to create this page?
Routings.
Yeah? Wow. Routes file? Now, a Rails project has a lot of files. This is something you can use Visual Studio Code. You press Command P or Control P on your laptop, and these are recent files you have open. So you can just go there, press down, down, or you type routes and then press enter. So I have something called routes say goodbye. Alright? Now if I save this here, you will refresh this page and then it will complain. The goodbye thing could not be found. And again, this error is quite clear. Where do I go next? Controller. So here's the trick. If you see A/B, the first one will be the controller and second one will be the action. Huh? Yeah, so what's an action? So I go to the controller. You have not seen a controller. I generate it, but you have not seen it. It's a new file. It's in apps/controller. And then there's a say controller here. And you see there's a method. So a method in a controller is called an action. In a Sinatra app, we did not use this yet. We just have the get/something. But here, get something, go to this controller action. So if I want goodbye, what do I do?
Def goodbye.
Def goodbye. And then
controller, is it pretty much just laying out a content, or is it telling the system what to do?
it's the controller prepare the content. And this is the same as get. This is Sinatra for you. Get, say hello, do, end. This controller is the same. But in Sinatra, you have to do this. In Sinatra, you have to do this. ERB. What is it? Remember? Say / hello dot HTML, and this will go to the view /say / hello dot HTML.
And templates, right? Because now it's automatically already loading the templates.
This is the template. So are you asking about Sinatra?
I
Or?
mean, like layout. Sorry.
Yeah, and layout, something like this. layout slash, application.html. This is your Sinatra way. Okay, the Rails way, nothing. Okay, that's a bit weird.
If I have a link like say slash goodbye slash again, what's it again?
So, good question. Normally you don't have more folders like that.
So
But if you
goodbye
do,
and
then
goodbye.
say slash hello slash again, then maybe your controller name is say slash hello. Yeah. But you normally don't have a controller name that is two parts. But you can. For example, admin slash users. When you have an admin. Now, what Rails doing is this. Render. Instead of ERB, Rails called render. And you will see that Rails, if you type render hello, this is exactly what Rails is doing. Rails will call render hello for you. Let me prove to you, right? Say hello here. And if I say render hi, okay? And I go to say hello, it will say I don't have the say hi file. So Rails always get the same name as the action and try to find the file for you. So Rails try to be smarter than Sinatra. Sinatra in this case, it doesn't know that this name is the same as this. Rails is like, okay, we're using Ruby, a very powerful language. I can just get the same name. But it can be scary if you don't understand this. Okay? So you can have this line, but why? Everyone understands what it does, so we remove it. You can have render goodbye here. It's the same. Okay? So there's nothing. So I go to goodbye. Say hello here. Go back here and go to goodbye. Now you will get a page that looks like this really long thing. It may mean extra note stuff. This is for later. But always you're saying is missing a template. So what do I do next? Now when you look at view here, view and template in Ruby on Rails, they are the same thing. But in Django, in Python, it's different. Huh? Here I have hello. So I have to create another file. What should the file be? Goodbye. Yeah, so in here I'll say goodbye. And then you reload. That's pretty good. Yeah? So we learned a little bit something that we can create. 1 page, 2 pages. We have the 2 actions in controller. Where's my action? Not this thing. Where's my controller? Say controller. And then 2 view files. Okay. And then 2 view files. Each one can have its own HTML, but they're all using the same layout file. Okay. So that's the beginning of Rails. I will explain the architecture, but you can start with the lab. And after milestone A, we move on to the more advanced stuff. Any questions about the Rails app so far? Maybe I think I have a question. Why is the controller empty? Say controller. This is what we should do instead. Say controller prepare data. Remember last time we have ERB hello.html because it's in the say folder. It should be like this. And you have locals. Let's say time is time. And what is this time variable? Time.now, something like that. You can do the same thing. But in the Rails world, we tend to use instance variable. And I remove this, I don't do the locals thing. Now in the view file, here, instead of, this is the logic. I will call this the hello variable. Are we good? So this is that you define all your variable here. Obviously, don't use ERB here in Rails, okay? Rails called render.
I don't understand that. Why
All
did
right.
I call it add hello and not add? Like, what if I have 5 different ones?
No. Yeah, thank you. You got a typo here. It should be a time.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's so much better to make a mistake than people will, will be more awake. So go to hello, and this is the same thing. And of course, you can have more like name. And in this case, for example, here, refresh. We're okay with the variables, right? Why do we do something like this? Why do we load the variables in here instead of doing it in the view file?
Because then we can edit them at once for the entire site page
Yeah.
with just one change.
One change. The view doesn't have to change. Your front-end developer can make this pretty. Can go there and make changes. Your code here, when you are improving your app, you may want to let the user log in. So you will decide what username to use. And then if this user is in America, you display the time in the time zone in America. If the user is in Vietnam, you display the time in Vietnam. But all of them will use the same view template. Right? That's why it's powerful. And you don't want to do it inside here or the name and stuff. Okay? Even better, what we will learn in the lab is that there's, the GET request. In a GET request, there's a question mark here where you can send the params. I can send params here, hello, Louis. Okay? Question mark. Key equals value. Server. You see this question mark?
Yeah.
They print the params for you. Easy to see. So what can I do? In the code here, name is params name. Now in Rails, they make it easy for you to, and they just say you can call symbol on all the params. It will work both ways, but you see that everyone just uses the symbols. So we're going to do this. And now the name is here, so this will be hello Louis, hello Quy, etc. And you see that this is still the same. Right? And let's say if we make a mistake, param. Yeah? You run it. Rails will crash, but life is a lot easier in this land. First, you have to learn to understand this is the error, the main error. This is the error message. This is where the error is, the line. This is the error file and the line. In what method? In hello method. And what is this thing, this black thing down there? You see, this is the params you can see in the request. And this is where in the code you can execute. So imagine the code just stop here for you. And you're like, what is time? Wow, this time up here, I can still check. And what is name? Oh, I crashed because something is called params. Let me see. Let me try again. Param name. And you get the same error as up here.
So this is like a built-in IRB?
It's a built-in IRB on the web. That is the web console. So this is something that makes you like develop on Ruby on Rails that makes you super fast. Because then you're like, okay, there's no need to go anywhere else. I can fix my code. Params. Ah, look, params, name Quy. Alright, then params, name, like that. And also, just understand, just know that Rails, this convention, it works for both symbol key and string keys.
This just allows you to test it, though, right?
Come again?
This just allows you to test it. It doesn't actually make it correct.
Right. It helps you troubleshoot better. It will tell you this, right? And Ruby, let's say something else. If I accidentally type that, the code will crash here instead. Yeah? And I load. Uh-oh. I need sometimes the browser now is weird. Command Shift R to reload it if you have a problem. Now, undefined method, right? Do you know that the latest Ruby also include a did you know, did you mean gem? So it actually can guess the method that you wanted to type. Did you mean time.now instead of time.nows? Nows. So you can like, oh, okay, so did you mean now? Yeah, I think so. I think like, you know, now. Then you type it and it works. So you go back to your code and then you fix it. And then you try again. So it's very similar to the internet, the browser, the Chrome Dev console that you open here and you run this. Now you have the Ruby in your IRB in your terminal. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Will it also catch like in quotes or in brackets and things like that?
Catch, what do you mean? This code here?
No. So for example, line 8.
Uh-huh.
You have params open bracket and then closing bracket at the end. Will it also catch that if we have extra or?
Well, yeah. So let's say, good point. So different types of errors. Play with them. But when you have errors, definitely don't be scared, right? Like in this case, if I run this, fantastic question. I did not foresee this. So this is the cases when syntax error here can crash Rails. 500 error means the server just crashed. Okay? And the server cannot recover to show you. So what do you do instead? You go to the terminal, okay? And you scroll up in the error. In Ruby, you read the first line. Alright? Where is that? My first line. Here. So you try to visit and it say error doing this. If you're not sure, one more time, just press enter like that over here, run it, and you see the error. Scroll all the way up. Here. It start to go to this page and then it will just point this out. Unfortunately, for this kind of error, just Rails does not recover. So it depends. This happens a lot. This happens a lot in your ERB file. So many times you will actually have this problem. You actually try to type like, you know, name, and then you forget to close this guy. And then imagine if you run this, and then, oh my God, like read this. You guys, but at least you're still lucky. You can see this is line 2. In this case, it's line 1. But it thinks it's line 2 because it say, hey, in line 2 you call it P, I don't understand. But actually the error is in line 1. Still, it's pretty smart. It say it's line 2, but here you can see, just watch out. Sometimes Ruby is not smart enough to tell you that's the previous line. That's okay, right? Yeah? Yeah. Route. Yeah, when you run, what did we do actually? Just Rails, you do this a lot because there are a lot of files to create. Initially, I'll ask you to do Rails generate, but it's hard, you know, controller, say hello. Say is the controller name, and hello is an action name. And if you do that, it will generate a route for you. Let me try another one. I have a home controller. I've had about page, and I have maybe a blog page. I have maybe, you know, a team page. So you can even do that. When you run this, it will generate this home/about, home+blogs, home/team. And you will have different files created here for you. Initially, it looks a bit scary, but if you read this, it's not too bad. Right? Ignore all the test stuff. We'll get there. And ignore coffee stuff. I explain that as well. But for now, understand, okay, CSS here, if you see CSS, just use the normal CSS. So in your first lab, it's just route, view, controller. In controller, sometimes you have a variable, sometimes you don't. In here you define your variables. In here you define your view. Okay?
So the lab, say controller, smaller than application controller is automatically.
Yeah, this is automatically created for you. This is Ruby object-oriented programming. The less than sign means inheritance. So say controller have some logic from application controllers. That's why it is this powerful. But you don't have to worry in today's lab. Like, what does it mean? All you have to do is defining a method and then enter some code in it. Yeah? You will learn a little bit more about the routes in the lab. The routes you learn like, okay, how do I define this route? The home route, okay? How do I define /about that go to my home controller and about action instead of home/about? So that's in the lab. Okay? Now here, every time you finish your work, I generate here, but I don't want it anymore, so I can call destroy. I don't have too many files. I destroy that. It's quite magical, right? If you move stuff in the files. Now git status. Here are the files I created. You can click here and I say, okay, this file's created. I don't really care. I don't really care, but this file, look. I add this code. Okay. I don't care about this file yet. Layout. I add this code. Do you guys see I add the footer to the layout? I added a goodbye file. I have a hello file. I also added. U means unstaged, not yet added to the Git system. Routes here is like that. So these files, so I finished the first milestone. So I say finish milestone A, and then I press this. Okay. If you add all of these files, stage all changes, and you press this, it will work nicely. If you do this, it will warn you, would you like to add all the files? And then you can say, okay, fine, I'll add. I don't like using always. I want to be more careful. So in general, I like to add them manually. Oh, okay, I like this. Okay, looks good. I add all of them. So now it becomes this file is added. This file is modified. Modified and looks good. I have new files and modified, and then I check this. It's good, okay? And if you push to GitHub, click here and push to GitHub. But for each milestone now, when you finish the milestone, please commit your change. Why is it important? Because if you Rails generate a new controller, right? Hello, home, about, then you can see what new files get created. And you can decide, okay, do I want it? Right? You can reset, you can delete everything. It's safe, one step at a time. You always just put into Git. Allows you to undo your work. Okay? So there's a Rails generate, but there's also destroy. If you accidentally type something bad, and then you can say destroy or D. And look, all the files just basically get cleaned. Then my things are clean and and clear. Okay? So give it a try. The first part is just doing the first lab. Milestone A. It will help you install and set up Rails and terminal.